Amosun perfects defection plans, plants top aides and DPP. The crisis in the All Progressives Congress over its primaries may worsen in a matter of days, as there are strong indications that the Ogun State Governor, Amosun, is set to defect to the Democratic People's Party. Investigations by Sunday Punch revealed that Amosun had already positioned his close allies and top government officials in the state and the DPP to contest against the candidates of the ruling party. Findings by our correspondents indicated that the officials and aides would be eventually unveiled as the candidates of the DPP in the guise of consensus on or before December. A reliable APC source, who claimed to be fully involved in the governor's plans, informed Sunday Punch on Saturday that the officials would move ahead of him before Amosun would eventually join them. The source added, "The plan is that he may not leave now, but he, Amosun, will leave. He already has candidates for the 3 senatorial zones and 9 House of Representatives seats in the DPP." According to findings by Sunday Punch, the candidate for the Ogun East Senatorial District is Dr. Babatunde Dipe, who is the current state's Commissioner for Health. In Ogun Central, the candidate is Alhaji Bolan Ladiami, a serving senior special assistant to the governor. For the Ogun West Senatorial District, the governor's candidate is the current senior special assistant to the governor on energy, Chief Taiwo Fagbemi. Sunday Punch learned that they, officials and aides, are to be substituted with the consensus candidates on or before the December 1 deadline for withdrawal, final substitution of candidates. For the House of Representatives seats, Amosun's candidates in the DPP are Otobi Isafi Uebiodun, a former chairman, Uwa South local government area, as the candidate for the Uwa South, Ipka federal constituency, and Adkunbi Fatai Ermu for the Uwa North, Imko Afan federal constituency. Fatai Ermu is a younger brother to the Speaker, Ogun State House of Assembly, Sirajid Kunbi. The candidate for the Abiakita North, Obafemi Owode, Oda federal constituency is Olabode Teufik Babatunde, a former local government chairman. The special advisor and general manager, Ogun Housing Corporation, Olajumoke Kinwunmi, is the candidate for the Abiakita South federal constituency. Other Amosun allies are Odumasu Alagbanga for the Icon/Sagama/Remo North Federal Constituency, Moji Diklojumiti, a commissioner in the Civil Service Commission, for the Ijebu North, Ijebu East, Ogun Waterside Federal Constituency seat, and the current Ifo local government chairman, Ari Ori Said, for the Ifo, Ekro Federal Constituency. The seat for the Odo Federal Constituency has Lamidi Rashid, while Shitu Olawaya, the Adogbalu local government area chairman, is for Ijebu Ode/Adogbalu/Ijebu East Federal Constituency. Sunday Punch cited some of the nomination forms of a few of the candidates marked Rep and Senate, written with a red marker. Some of the identified candidates, who, however, spoke on condition of anonymity to one of our correspondents on Friday, confirmed that they were on their way to the DPP on the instruction of the embattled governor. "Yes, it is true. The governor has said we should move to the DPP, but I cannot make any official comment now. Ogie will join us later," one of them in the National Assembly said. Amosun has alleged that the national chairman of the APC, Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, colluded with some persons he described as members of the Lagos cabal to manipulate the primaries, especially that of the governorship, in the state. The APC has submitted the name of an oil magnate, Dapo Abiodun, as its governorship candidate to the Independent National Electoral Commission, to the surprise of Amosun, who had consistently maintained that a member of the House of Representatives, Ed Kunle Kinlaid, would succeed him as the state governor. A top source in the state APC, who spoke to one of our correspondents on Saturday, alleged that the National Working Committee of the party changed the names of the winners of the primaries in the state when the list got to Abuja. It wasn't that the primaries were not held as being widely reported. The NWC said the primaries would hold on Monday, but the officials did not even show up in Abuja that day. It later changed it to Tuesday, and the state government declared Tuesday as a public holiday, said the source, while lamenting the current state of the crisis. On Tuesday, 8 officials came from Abuja. Of course, you know it was impossible for the 8 to cover the 236 wards in the state. Winners were announced after the primaries, but when the names of the candidates were announced in Abuja, they were different from the names that emerged from the primaries, including that of Abiodun. Don't forget what happened also in Lagos, when the NWC delegation to the state, initially, said election did not hold in the state governorship primary. Abuja made a U-turn later that day to say election held and that Jide Sanwo-Olu has won the election. I believe the same set of people is behind the Ogun crisis. He, however, refused to comment on the rumored defection of the governor and some of his lieutenants to the DPP, but argued that any candidate fielded by Amosun on any platform would win election. In Abuja, it will be difficult for any candidate to defeat Amosun's candidate because of what he has done in transforming the state capital. You are aware that that is where the votes are. One just hopes they can resolve this impasse quickly. Otherwise, APC may eventually lose Ogun State to another party, he said.